Fact families. Your learning target today is I can find the fact families of multiplication and division problems, and you'll know you're successful when you can find the related multiplication and division problems that use the same three numbers for each equation. So I know we've talked a little bit about fact families yesterday, and we have in the past, but today that's our main focus. And most of the time with a fact family, you'll have four different equations that will be in your fact family, most of the time. And I will show you the reason why sometimes you would not have all four in the next example. But for this example, you'll have four in the fact family. And in my example, I'm going to use 6 times 4 equals 24. Okay, and that kind of gives away one of our fact families, right? Because it's 6 times 4 equals 24. What would be the other way we could write 6 times 4 equals 24? If I'm using a multiplication sign. 4 times 6 equals 24. Nice job. Because we flip-flopped our factors, but we have the same product. So now we need to do 2 division sentences. What would be one way? What number always has to go first, no matter what in the division problem? The big number, which is 24. So actually, I'm going to use 24 divided by blank for both of them. 24 divided by what? Well, let's do divided by 6 equals what? 4. And in the next one, we could do 24 divided by 4 equals 6. There we go. That's our fact family. And again, we have 4 equations, but we know when we multiply, those mean the same thing. It does not matter what order my factors are in as long as I have the same product. And for division, it does not matter whether my 6 or my 4 is where it's at, but that 24 needs to stay the same for both. Just like 24 always has to be after the equal sign right here, right? Those big numbers never change. So let me show you an example of why in a fact family you might not have 4 equations, and this will be the only time when you don't. So the times when we would only have 2 facts in our fact family is if I have like a doubles multiplication fact, right? So like 3 times 3 equals 9. Because our factors are the same, we don't need to flip-flop them and do the commutative property because 3 and 3 are the same. So that's the only time when you will not have 4 facts in your fact family is if your factors are the same, okay? That will be the only time. So, of course, we know 3 times 3 is 9 because I have it right up there. And then what would be the division sentence? 9 divided by 3 equals 3. Because see, if I did the commutative property, oh, it's the same. So that's kind of pointless. And then this would be the same. So again, that's not necessary. So that's the only time when you will not have 4 facts in a fact family. But most of the time, we will have 4 facts because we know there are only so many doubles facts, and there are mostly facts where the factors in a multiplication problem are different. Let's try some. All right, so it would be our fact family for something like 5 times 8 equals 40. So again, since my factors right here are different, I know I'm going to have 4 different equations or 4 different number sentences. And let's see. Well, we know one already because I just gave it away. 5 times 8 equals 40. What would be the other multiplication sentence? Think about the commutative property of multiplication where I flip-flop my factors, but my product is the same. Well, we know that 40 will be the same, like I said, and 8 times 5 is flip-flopped from 5 times 8. So that would be the other way of multiplying. Now, how would we write our division sentence? We always start with our 40 divided by a smaller number. So we could divide this one by 5 equals 8. And then, what's the other way? 40 divided by what? 8 equals 5. So I'm just changing the order of my numbers, and I'm remembering when I multiply, my big number is after the equal sign, both times, and when I'm dividing, my big number is first. All right, this fact family, I have 12 times 6 is 72. So, again, we have different factors, so I have 4 different equations that I'll have to find. And we already know 12 times 6 equals 72 because I have it right up there. And what would be the other way of writing out that multiplication sentence? Does anybody know? 6 times 12 equals 72. Nice job. How could I write that division sentence one way? With the big number first. So 72 divided by 12 equals 6. Or, what's the last way? 72 divided by 6 equals 12. So there we go. I hope you're getting the hang of this. I'm going to have you try the next ones on your own. Alright, so for this last one, I want you to pause this and try this on your own. And I want you to find the fact families. So please make sure that if your factors in your multiplication problem are exactly the same, then you will have 4 equations that you need to come up with. And today, I want you to also find out what the product of your multiplication problem is. And I want you to find the quotient of your division problem. So that will be the extra step. Find the product and quotient first, then the fact family. And by doing that, I need all of the facts in the fact family, not just 1 or 2, all of them. So please pause the video and try this on your own. Okay, so you should have figured all of this out already. So let's do 8 times 4 first. For your product, you should have gotten 32. And for our fact family, we have 2 different factors. So we have 4 equations that you'll have to find. So what was your first one? Well, 8 times 4 was given to us, so let's just do 8 times 4 equals 32. What would be the other way we could write that multiplication problem? 4 times what? 8 equals 32. Nice job. What would be a way we could write that division problem? Starting with our big number, 32, we could divide it by 8 equals 4. Or, starting with 32, you could divide it by 4 equals 8. So that's our fact family for 8 times 4 equals 32. Or for the fact family 8, 4, 32, right? Those are our numbers in common. So for the next one, we have 120 divided by 12 equals blank. You should have gotten that it equals 10. So our fact families, again, because we have 3 different numbers, we have 10, 12, and 120. That means we'll have 4 different equations. We know that 120 divided by 12 because that's the one we already have. What would be the other way to write that division sentence? 120 divided by 10 equals 12. Nice job. What would be the multiplication sentence? 12 times 10 equals 120. I know my box is running out of room, so you'll have to bear with me. And then the last way would be 10 times 12 equals 120. Nice job. That's your fact family for using 10, 12, and 120. Nice job. So remember, your learning target today is I can find the fact families of multiplication and division problems. And you'll know you're successful when you can find the related multiplication and division problems that use the same three numbers for each equation.